Welcome to the WordyGirl Entertainment Podcast. I am your writer-in-chief, Rosalind Jackson. I am a lover of words, and that love led me to a passion for writing. And what's the next best thing to writing? Talking about writing. So kick back and join me for mind-blowing chats about writing, covering everything from screenplays to novels to poetry, from non-fiction books to songwriting, and much more. Ainz Prasad, better known as Brainz, began his professional music career in 1998 by signing a publishing deal with the legendary songwriter Kenny Babyface Edmonds. This immediately launched his career, and he shortly became a multi-platinum music producer. Brainz shot up the music charts, and within a short period of time, he was able to write and produce music for such artists as Jamie Foxx, Rick Ross, Snoop Dogg, Pink, Miley Cyrus, French Montana, Pitbull, and more. After winning an American Music Award for Soundtrack of the Year for Save the Last Dance, Brainz went on to work on films such as Django, The Amazing Spider-Man, Hardball, Pootie Tang, Beer Fest, and much more. He has also produced and written music for Fox Network, BET, and ESPN 30 for 30. Throughout his career, he has managed to work on several commercial campaigns, including Verizon, Mercedes-Benz, Steph Curry Under Armour, and Bombay Sapphire. Brainz is all about challenges and is currently focusing on film composing. He has had the opportunity to work with Hans Zimmer on The Amazing Spider-Man, and now has composed music and is the music supervisor on the feature film All-Star Weekend, starring Jamie Foxx, Jeremy Piven, Robert Downey Jr., Eva Longoria, Gerard Butler, and Benicio Del Toro. Brainz also became the music producer for the 2018 BET Awards. He has taken his 20-plus years of music industry knowledge and entrepreneurial skills to the tech world. He is currently designing an online music licensing platform that will help curate music for all forms of media. In 2018, Brainz and his production partners over at HMG acquired a publishing catalog that won 5 Grammy Awards. Among those wins were R&B Album of the Year for Bruno Mars, 24K Magic, Song of the Year for Bruno Mars, That's What I Like, and Best R&B Song of the Year for Bruno Mars, That's What I Like. Currently, Brainz is the music composer on a Netflix TV series titled Dad, Stop Embarrassing Me, slated for a 2021 release. He is also the film composer on Groove Tales, an animation feature film also slated for 2021 release. Brainz recently signed an administrative partnership deal with BMG Music Publishing. So welcome to the WordyGirl Entertainment Podcast. Today we are speaking with Ainz Brainz Prasad.
Yeah.
What's up, Brainz?
How are you doing, WordyGirl?
I'm good. I am good. Thank you so much for doing the interview.
Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. So, tell everybody where you're from.
I am a Jamaican, Fijian, Canadian. I come from Canada last. My mom lives in Toronto. My dad lives in Edmonton. My mother is Jamaican and my dad's from the Fiji Islands, and they met in Canada. That's how I was created.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I ended up moving out to LA, fast forward, because of music. That's why I moved out here. And I've known you for, Jesus Lord, 20 years, maybe, close to.
I know it's been forever. So, tell everybody how we know each other, how we met.
Well, in 1998, first of all, I'm a songwriter, producer, and a film composer. But 1998, my production partner, which is Anthony President, shout out to Anthony President.
Hey, Anthony.
Him and I put a production team together, and we were producing music. And we said, okay, let's go for a publishing deal, right? So we put a whole bunch of songs together, 100% written by us, produced by us, and some of the stuff was performed by us. I'll take you down the timeline of this all.
Mm-hmm.
We were living in Vancouver at the time, Prez and myself, and we put together a demo tape, and we decided. Well, we used to go to New York. We used to try and get a record deal because it was both of us. We were both in a hip hop group called Lopsided, and it was just two of us. And every time we would go to the table, we would play music for like Puff and Harv Pierre and people from Bad Boy, and they liked what we were doing. And we never could ink a deal or get further. But one thing they always complimented us on is the production and the songwriting aspect. So when we came back. We decided to put together a demo reel of songs. Our boy Giuliano, I don't know if you remember Jules. Jules was one of he put together a really nice demo record with Anthony President for the Anthony President Project. He was a rapper at the time, great artist. And Tracy Edmonds heard the demo, and Kenny heard the demo, and they offered him a publishing deal. So Giuliano ended up moving down to LA. Prez and myself put our reel together, and we were offered several deals. We took the one in New York from Brian Jackson. It's funny. Brian Jackson was part of EMI Music Publishing at the time, and he was only signing 3 people that year. He was signing this kid named Rodney Jerkins, this group called the Neptunes, and us, Presidential Campaign. That was the name of our production company.
Yeah, I remember
and he was only signing 3 people. Yeah, we were Presidential Campaign. So he ended up signing the Neptunes. He did sign Rodney Jerkins. He did give us a contract, but we didn't end up signing it. And Brian Jackson will tell you this. We didn't sign it because Babyface listened to our demo. It was Babyface and Vincent Herbert at the time, and they offered us more money. And then Tracy ended up signing Prez and myself. So we ended up taking the deal with Babyface and Tracy Edmonds, and that's where I met you. I met you up there on the 6th floor, because that's the Edmonds Tower. That was the hot spot in Hollywood at the time when it came to like production. Anybody was up there, right?
That building was the hot spot for sure.
yeah, everybody was up there because you guys were managing too. You had a lot of acts. You were managing Shamar Moore at the time. You had Robbie Reed Associates were up there. I think even one time Robbie Reed was managing Jamie Foxx. So, you guys had Rosario Dawson. I worked with Rosario. But yeah, that's where I met you. So, Kenny ended up signing us. He gave us recording studios on the 2nd floor. Each had our own room, and that's when we started recording. The first artist we actually recorded was Third Story. That was the very first act we recorded when we moved to LA. And then we had the B-side of the single. That's when there were B-sides of the single. And Mr. Face had the A-side because he's Babyface. Of course, he's going to get the single, right? But our song was the B-side. That thing, I can't even remember the name. I think it was called If I Only Knew, I think. Something like that. But yeah, and then that's where I met you. You were on the 4th floor, and you were under Yabium, correct?
I was kind of like all over the building because I was first working. Actually, I started as Kenny's intern first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was his intern. So I used to work with Salambra, and then I went part-time in Tracy's office. So I was like doing all this at the same time, and then I started working part-time in the studio. So, and I remember all you guys, you guys would be there in the little MIDI rooms and doing your thing. And then whoever would have the big studio booked out, they'd be coming in and out. And
Lisa Einhorn. Shout out to Lisa.
Shout out to Lisa. Lisa, she was the studio manager.
Yep.
And everything. But it was like a whole entertainment hub there. Like,
it was family.
Yeah, it was 6th floor was the music, the record company. 5th floor was TV and film, and also casting with Robbie Reed. 4th floor was the music publishing, and 3rd floor was the studio, and then the 2nd floor was, I guess, where you guys' offices were. So yeah.
Yep.
But,
yep. I ended up, I don't know how you're gonna. I guess we can talk all over the place. I don't know if there's any linear way you want to go, but on the 2nd floor. Tracy Edmonds' brother, Michael McCorn, and I actually put a studio on the 2nd floor. And we actually built that all the way out. And we used to have Tyrese used to rent from us. He used to be one of our tenants. And then after Tyrese left, Dwight Freeney was one of our tenants. And at the time, Dwight was the highest paid NFL player. So that building served its purpose. And that's that. So long story short, that's where I met you.
Yeah. And Tyrese actually ended up moving his whole company into the second floor. So he was running.
And he was renting.
Yeah.
And renting my studio.
Oh, he was renting from you. Oh, okay.
That's what it was.
Yep. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
That's the whole reason. That's the whole reason why. In fact, how it actually went down is at that time I was working with Nate. There's another writer named Nate. Prez and I at that point, we diffused our company and we decided to go different directions in terms of music. But Nate and I started working together, and one day Tyrese asked Nate and myself to come to his house out in Temecula, and he wanted to produce and write some music. So the reason why we went out there is because there was a movie that Mike McCorn was the music supervisor for. Jesus Lord, I forget the movie. It was not an army movie, kind of a vet movie about vets in the army. I forget the name of it, starring Tyrese in it. But we did a song with Tyrese. So we went to Tyrese's house. And if anybody knows LA, Temecula is not close. It's like a 2-hour drive.
Right.
So we go there and his studio's not working. And so I'm like, shit. So I take my jacket off. I get under the studio board. I try to rewire stuff for him so that it's working. By the way, his house is gorgeous. It didn't work. There's something wrong with his board. I was trying to tell him, like, yo, Reese, I got a studio in Hollywood we can use. He's like, okay, let's talk about later. Like a day later, he's in my studio talking with Mike and Tracy. I'm like, what the heck? He's like, B, I told you, I told you. So long story short, he loved the studio. He said he wanted to lease it, and then he moved his entire company, headquarter entertainment. He moved up there.
Yeah. That was a trip.
Yeah, that was, I'm sure that was. I mean, when you have a mega star on your floor,
right?
You have to manage that as well.
Exactly. Yeah, because all the crazies they used to try to get into the building, it was like
they're there. They are there. Yeah. So the first record we did was on Third Story, which was Yabium, and they were managed by the beloved Jackie McCorn.
Yes.
God bless her
Rest
soul.
in peace.
Yeah. Tracy's mom and Michael's mom. And, you and I both worked with that family for years.
Yeah.
We've had some successes. We had some failures, but that's just business,
Right.
Back to rewinding, Anthony, President, and myself, we produced that first record on Third Story, which was Yabium. And at the time, I believe Sylvia Rhone, they did a deal with Elektra with Sylvia Rhone. So that album was coming out, Yabium / Elektra. So that's where that record went. The first big single we had was on Pink.
Okay.
And we did a song called You Make Me Sick.
I remember that song.
Yeah. And you know what? I was in the room. We were at Kenny's studio. So just so people understand that there was the Yabium building, you want to call it, like the building on Coanga, which was 6 floors. And then there was Babyface's studio, which was about 8 blocks away. Kenny Edmonds had his own spot, right? That's just how we are as writers. We need privacy. So we were over at Kenny's spot.
Called Brandon's Way.
Brandon's Way, yes, ma'am. And I was working in the MIDI room, in the smaller room outside his little lobby, and Prez was playing Damon Thomas, the You Make Me Sick record. I believe it was Damon Thomas. Damon heard the record and ran in and said to Kenny, I want to say it was Damon. Maybe I'm tripping. I want to say it's Damon. And he said, yo, you got to hear this song. And Kenny heard it. He said, okay, that's it. No, and they were working with Shakespeare to finish the album. And they said, no, we're not using the Shakespeare record anymore. This is the final single. Done. Final song. It wasn't a single. And so we're like, really? He's like, yeah, really. That's it. So that's what happened with Pink. Later on, we got in the studio we used a woman named Cherie Forpain to demo the record for us. And we wrote that song with Mark Tabb. Mark Tabb was he was an amazing writer. He was one of Jason Edmonds' best friends. Okay. And we had the pleasure of working with him. I love that guy. He was a great writer. So we wrote the record, demoed it with Cherie, then we got into the studio with Pink, put her vocals on it, and the rest was history. We got a call one day from Clive's office. I believe it was Clive talking to Perez, saying that this is the next single that they're gonna go with. So we were happy about that.
Oh wow!
So, yeah,
so that's pretty cool. I remember her being at the studio on Cahuenga, because I saw her. I don't know if you guys were working with her at that time too. I remember she was in the main lounge and she was playing pool.
Yeah,
she had on a bathrobe.
If she was in the Cahuenga building, then she was working with Presidential Campaign.
Oh, okay.
She's worked with us.
Okay. Yeah.
Because Kenny would record her at his spot, but we were, it's funny because we met with her on a couple of things. There was oh my God, this is hilarious. There was a guy named Little Zane back in the day, and I think he rapped on one of the 112 records with Biggie. And Little Zane, Andrew Shack over at who was the president at Capitol Records at the time. Was it Capitol? No, it was Priority. He wanted us to do a song with Zayn and Pink. So we did do another record with them for another movie, for another sound. Just as funny. We got songs we did with artists that just never came out. So we did a record with the two of them. They flew us down to Philly, where Pink is from. And we cut the record with Pink in Philly. We cut Little Zane's vocals at Track and Place in the Yabian building, Cahuenga building. Then they flew us down to Philly, and we cut the record there. Finished it, mixed it. Manny Marroquin, one of my best friends out here, one of the best, if not the best, mix engineers of all time.
I remember Manny.
My opinion, Manny's he's amazing. Manny's actually the first. He was the engineer that mixed our first record with Third Story, but he also mixed the Pink record, and he also mixed the other Pink record that we did with Zayn. But unfortunately, that record never ended up coming out on the movie. Something happened. I can't even recall exactly what happened. But that's the nature of music. Sometimes you do these collaborations and nothing comes from it. Even though you record it and you mix it and you go through the whole process, that didn't end up working out. But yeah, I mean that was our big first single, and we were kind of happy about that. That song actually really had legs because after we cut that record, Michael McCorn, who ended up managing Presidential Campaign, Anthony President and myself, he was music supervising a movie called Save the Last Dance. Yes. And Anthony President and myself, we did several songs on that movie. We also had, it's funny, we had a group. Prez and I had a group called Blackout. And in the group Blackout, we had Ronnie DeVoe.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. J.R. Ewan, Ronnie DeVoe, myself, Prez, and a guy named Rue. Rue was from a group from Dr. Dre back in the days called Poor, Broken, Lonely. We brought him over to our group, and we were called Blackout. And at the time, LaRonda Sutton was working at publishing up for Kenny Edmonds. So
yeah, LaRonda.
Yep. So we did that. So backing up a little, that song ended up doing double platinum on her album.
Oh my God.
Two times we got a double platinum out of that one. And then Mike put it on the Save the Last Dance soundtrack. And at first I was just like, I remember going to screen the movie Save the Last Dance at Paramount Pictures in Hollywood. And I didn't like the movie. I'm like, man, it's like I'm like, Mike, this is like a Flash Dance spinoff or something. And he's like, yo, just shut up and just do the movie. So we're like, whatever. So we did a lot of music in that movie. A lot of the dance and hip hop stuff is us. And even our group Blackout, one of our songs in there, and then they threw the You Make Me Sick song in there. And I remember this because it was near the Christmas holidays, and I was at the barbershop, and I got a call from Mike, and he's like, yo, the movie's #1 at the box office. I'm like, get out of here. Are you kidding me? He's like, yeah. I'm like, yo, Prez, the movie went #1. It's so crazy, right? I was, and then I ended up flying to New York for Christmas to go visit my sister and my pops. After I was leaving New York, we were going to, all the homies were going to meet in Hawaii for New Year's. I get another call from Mike and say, yo, the soundtrack's #1.
Yeah.
We're like, wait, what? So we had, that's now this one song, 4 times platinum at the time. That's 4 times platinum.
Mm-hmm.
Plus number 1 on the charts, the soundtrack was, and the movie was. Then we won an American Music Award for the soundtrack of the year.
Yeah, I remember that day because Michael, we were all at the offices and he didn't go to the show. And then he found out he won, and we were all at the office. He was like, "We just won the American Music Award." And everybody was like, "What?"
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly how it worked. And he worked his magic on a soundtrack. I mean, that's a classic. A lot of movies nowadays that became dance movies after that were really following in the footsteps of Save the Last Dance. And so, yeah, that one song went pretty far, you know. It probably, well, all said is done, it probably ended up doing 5 million units. And then a rock group redid the song as well. And then they did dance remixes of it in Europe and stuff like that. So that song had a lot of legs to it. You know, I think it is to have one song get that much love. It's pretty amazing. But, you know, I think Tracy and Mike were you know, really responsible for introducing Anthony and myself to television and film. You know, those were the first soundtrack that we were on, and it, you know, rightfully so, it went huge. Also, we were on. There was another. What was the other one that Tracy did? She did another movie. My mind is blank right now. With Nick Cannon. Was it Nick Cannon? No, it was Christina Milian and someone else. It wasn't Nick Cannon. Maybe it wasn't Nick Cannon. I can't recall, but we were on that soundtrack too. Long story short, they ended up putting us on a lot of soundtracks because that was the thing. And I mean, I think one of the last ones that we worked on with Kenny and Tracy, though, was on Josie and the Pussycats.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. So, and this is at the time you guys were managing Rosario Dawson.
Yes.
And at the time, she starred in that movie, and we did a couple songs in that movie with the director. He helped write, and really spoofy, playing kind of songs because it was a comedy. And then did another movie with Rosario Dawson and Eddie Murphy called Pluto Nash.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the song in that movie with Eddie, we cut Rosario. She's the one singing it. She came to the studio on the second floor. Evan Haney was her manager at the time. I'm not sure if he still is.
Yeah. I don't know if he still is now, but I remember Evan.
Yeah, Evan was cool. So Evan brought us that project. We cut the song. It ended up in the movie, ended up on the soundtrack, but it's really Rosario singing. All happened on the second floor, funny enough.
Wow.
But yeah, that floor had a lot. That floor has influenced. You know, we should do a book called That Floor, because that floor really curved a lot of people's careers. It started a lot of people's careers, you know.
Yeah.
That, you know, we'll get to this a little later, but that floor is where I met Jamie Foxx.
Oh, okay.
He was working with Next in the big room, in the SSL room, and you know, my room was directly across from the SSL room. So when it opened, he heard Nate and myself singing, and he made a little joke about us. But yeah, so. We of course, right? So we did the Josie and the Pussycat, which did good at the theaters. Another thing that we did, this is, you know, I'm just getting into where we going. I started doing a lot of stuff with Master P, Prez and myself, and we did a single. It's funny. We did a single with his son when he was really young, Romeo. We did a song called Romeo. It Takes Two. And it was, it takes two to make a thing go right, Romeo. And that was his first single. That was his first big single. We shot it, did the video, in fact, Master P, if anybody knows P, they're going to know what I'm saying. They're going to laugh. He was the kind of guy, he'll ask you, yo, can I get a copy of the demo, Wordy? So yeah, you give him a copy. So he wanted to ride with it and listen to it in his car, right? Little did we know, he took the cassette tape, mastered it, and put it out. And that was it.
Oh, wow.
It was, yeah. So a lot of the stuff that we did with Master P was just off of him listening to a demo cassette at that. And they mastered it and put that stuff out. That's, you know, Michael McCorn is the one that introduced us to Master P. And we started working with P on several of his albums. We worked with all his brothers and his son on all those albums. And then, which takes me to Pootie Tang. We worked on that movie called Pootie Tang. Which at the time was funny and didn't make sense to me. Chris Tucker, right? Or Chris Rock.
Chris Rock.
And and we did a couple of songs in there too. We did a record with Master P and Magic. God bless his soul. He passed away, him and his wife. And we did another one with a group called Ideal. I don't know if you remember Ideal. I think you better leave me alone. Get the hell on. They had a song that went like that. That was the number one single, but they were a 4-guy group. We worked with them. Yep. Worked with them on that soundtrack. It did a couple, 2 or 3 songs. And we were some of the last producers to work with Nate Dogg. We did a song with Nate Dogg on that album called Yesterday with Nate Dogg and Roscoe. It was a good record. And then in my career, that's actually the first record that I ended up mixing. So instead of using Manny because he wasn't available, out of necessity, I was in the SSL room mixing. I did go to college and I studied sound. I studied sound design and binaural hearing, which is sound engineering. So I never thought that would come into play, but I generally was mixing my own tracks, so why not? So the one you're hearing that's on the soundtrack, that's the one that I produced and mixed with the acting president. Oh wow! So so we got to do that on that soundtrack. I'm just trying to think any other soundtracks we were on at the time.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, you know what though? In that same building on the second floor, Mike introduced us to another guy named Crazy Bone from the Bone Thugs and Harmony. Oh yeah. So yeah, we did 2 songs with him, and they flew us out to Cleveland. And I'll never forget. We're coming from Canada, so people are like, "Y'all must be used to this weather, right?" But at the end of the day, we had been in LA already for 4 or 5 years, and we're like, "No, we're just used to the sun now." So when they're telling us, "Okay, bring your winter jackets." Man, when I tell you, when we landed in Cleveland, it was a snowstorm. Oh wow! I mean, it was cold. So Crazy Bone had someone pick us up at the airport and then just took us straight to the studio. We cut the record. I can't even remember the name of the damn song. What was the song?
Was it? Let's see. I thought I had it here. They had some amazing songs, and they were so melodic.
They were big at the time. Yeah, we were on the Crazy Bone Thug Mentality 1999 album.
Was it Shoot the Club Up?
Shoot the Club Up. Jeez, good memory. Yeah, Shoot the Club Up. And we did another song called Nigga Don't Make Me Kill You. Oh. But that never made it on the album because he only had 1 spot left. Again, it's funny because we go back and we got that song on a reel somewhere here. Nobody's ever heard of these records, right? It's kind of like having something like, I don't know, with Elvis or Bob Marley on it. And it never came out. So did that. That album did double platinum again. We didn't expect it to do that. That song went double platinum. Wow. So that album went double platinum. So we were some young guys producing records, and we were just getting in the midst of what Hollywood is. Two cats coming from a smaller city in Canada, and we're able to kind of move around and get on some big records. Later on, I'm not even doing this in order, I don't think, but we ended up on, you guys signed an amazing artist, one of my favorite artists. His name was John B.
John.
Big John.
Loves of John B.
Man, he had 2 really big albums. And, we ended up being on the 3rd album.
Okay.
And
Stronger Every Day? Was that
we
one?
We had the first single. Some people didn't like it. I don't care. I got to work with John B. And the song we did was called Lately.
Okay.
So this song's an interesting record. So we put this record together and actually got into this. Well, let's back this up a little. Before Prez and I got our deal with Kenny and Tracy, we were shopping our demo reel around, and we had management at the time, and someone wanted us to meet this woman named Missy Elliott. So we went to the studio, and she was getting her hair done. We were in New York, and we played some records for her, and she really liked the records we were working on. And she said, "I want you guys to work with this guy that I'm about to sign. His name is Tank." And we're like, oh, okay, Tank, never heard of Tank. She's like, yeah, the kid's phenomenal singer. Okay, so fast forward years later, we never got to work with Tank at the time. We were nobodies. But she did like our music, and she did make an effort to try and put us together. But so fast forward, we got to work on John B's third album. We had this track, and we gave it to none other but Tank. So Tank was phenomenal writer, by the way, phenomenal artist. Like, he doesn't even use pen and paper. He listens to the track, then he goes into the studio, and then he says, just hit record, Brainz. We're recording. And then I said, I want to put a bridge in the song. So what I did is I said, I'm going to the one and only Babyface. And I said, Kenny, can you put a bridge on this? And he said, no problem. So gave him the track, came back, amazing bridge. Tank was so excited because this was the first time he ever did a song with Babyface. So it was a Babyface, written by Babyface and Tank, produced by Brainz, Anthony President, performed by John B. So to us, that was one of those records that was a staple. And it worked. It ended up being a first single, and we did the video and a bunch of stuff with that record. On that same album, I was at the time, I also had because I got Jamaican roots. So, I was doing reggae DJ and stuff like that, right? So I had a group called Farana. It was my cousin and myself. And we did a record on that same album with John B, with Beanie Man. And why do I always forget the name of that song? Do you remember that song?
No, but I have it up here on the screen as Every Time.
Every Time. There you go. Yes. So that was another interesting record. We never produced that one. We just performed on it. I did a verse on it. My cousin did a verse on it. And then John B did his verse. Obviously, it's his song. And then Beanie Man came in and did his thing. And we kind of helped coordinate the whole Beanie Man thing to come in. And because Beanie Man was on my album. He was on our album, too. So he did a record with us. And we actually had Jamie Foxx on that album, too. And then in return, he came in, he did the song with John B, Farana, and Beanie Man. So that was kind of a throwback classic where R&B soul meets dancehall reggae. And it turned out good. It was a good record. So
John had some hits, some serious hits.
You
could play his stuff still today. And
to today, just talented guy.
So you guys were heavy on the music side, and now you're into the TV and film side. So how did you make that that serious crossover? I know you did a couple of things with Michael, but how did
actually it actually started slightly before Michael. It started with Tracy. Tracy asked, it did go from Michael. Sorry, it went from Michael to Tracy. Tracy asked Nate and myself to work on this Nickelodeon project. First, we did something with this project she had called Maniac McGee. Then she got us together. Then she got us together with these producers that were doing this animated TV series. I can't remember the name of the series. Anyway, so Nate and I did the music for the TV series. They had a couple, and that's where we kind of got into the world. And I started wetting my beak with television and film, was from the Edmonds era at Track and Place. So that's how that kind of worked. Fast forward, I produced another record with Nate and wrote with Nate a song called, what was the song called? It was on Third Story, but they no longer called themselves Third Story. They called themselves Chapter 4.
Yeah, I remember they went through a few name changes.
Yeah, so we did a song on them. What was that song called?
Let me see. Do I have it here? Fool With You?
Fool With You, yes. And we actually, lyrically wise, there's so many lyricists on that song. I can't even remember everybody. I know Tyron Turner from Menace to Society. He was a person, he wrote some lyrics on that. Jay Fox wrote some lyrics on that. Anyways, that went on Chapter 4, and that was they had now become, that was a Clive Davis project. So again, we had the first single we had the first single on that, and that was a big single for them. And then the whole thing fell apart. I don't know if that group ended up staying on there, but those guys were super talented.
Yeah,
that group was super talented.
Yes. Especially Gavin with the pipes.
Oh my God, Gavin is a beast. He is a beast. But don't sleep on the other ones. Like the other guys can sing too. Like
for
really
sure,
good, to the point where they could have all done solo deals if they wanted to, and just stood on their own. You know, JR, Jason, those good. Yeah. So so we started. So that's where I got. You know, we recorded that record, "The Fool with You." We cut that at Jamie Foxx's crib.
Okay.
He, you know, Nate was friends with Jamie, and then introduced me to Jamie, and we started being cool with Jay. And he's like, "Man, you know, Fox is so generous." He's like, "Yeah, record my studio, whatever you want, whatever you want." So we cut that record at the studio with Third Story. Jackie McCorn was there that day. Ended up being the first single. Manny Marquand mixed that. Of course, just he always blesses. You know, when you can get Manny,
right,
and he's not busy, you use him and you pay that money.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. And Randy Cohen is his manager, good old Randy. So
Randy
you talk
Cohen.
to Randy and he'll arrange that for you. Absolutely. So we ended up doing that. Then it's funny, shortly after cutting that, I played Fox this beat that I produced, and Nate came aboard and did some work on it as well. And he put us in the studio. He said, "I want to cut this with Snoop." And so we're like, okay, yeah, we're down with that. So he got Snoop in the studio, and we ended up cutting that at Snoop's house. We did a song called Psst, like PSST.
Yeah.
Where Fox sang the verse, and Snoop was Snoop's song, and it was on the Blue Carpet album, and that one went gold. Probably eventually went platinum, but that one went gold. So that was the real first time we started working with Fox to that degree. You know, LaRonda, this is all over, but you're gonna have to edit this properly. LaRonda Sutton, you know, I love LaRonda. She's awesome. She always treated us with respect, and she knows music. She really knows music. She was working for Kenny at Edmonds at the time. We were all there. Damon, Thomas, myself, Giuliano, all of us were up there. Armando. Who else was over there? There were just a bunch of us, and she was controlling the publishing. Well, years later, after I finished that publishing deal, Jamie Foxx offered me a publishing deal.
Oh, okay.
He's like, "Are you out your deal yet?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm out my deal." Well, I got LaRonda. Talk to her. I'm going to sign you. It's just that simple. Boom, 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 boom. So I walk into the office one day. LaRonda's like, "Brainz! Oh my God, what the heck are you doing?" I'm like, "What are you doing here?" And hold on, before we jump into this, there's a lot we're missing here. I'm just talking off the top of my dome, but you can edit it how you want. There is a beautiful young woman who used to be LaRonda's assistant, and she would administrate our publishing. And this woman and I would always kick it. She was in love with Ronnie DeVoe. I introduced her to Ronnie, and she took me out one night to the Key Club and introduced me to a few of the members from NSYNC because she knew them. I think she went to school with them or something happened, or she knew. This woman's name is Ethiopia.
Yes, I remember Ethiopia. Ethiopia have to Marion.
There you go. You know those names. She, in my opinion, and I do a lot of business, not just the music business, but in business, she has grown the fastest out of anybody I've ever, if there's anybody I can think of. I mean, I'm sure.
I remember she came in like as an assistant, and then next thing you know, she was the head of Motown.
And the head of guess who else? She was the head of senior over at Universal Music Publishing. Guess where my deal with Fox was? Fox and I had an admin deal over there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So when I went up there one day with Fox management, and you got to know Fox's management manages Leonardo DiCaprio, Martin Scorsese, Jamie Foxx. The list is extensive. So if I'm walking into the room, Jack White, you know, the list goes on. So when I walk in a room with them, obviously all attention's on them, unless you walk into a room and you know Ethiopian, she knows you. So you walk in there, she's like, "Oh my God, Brady!" She's calling me Brain. And you know, she was such a good friend and still is a good friend. There was a bunch of us that we just used to all kick it. It was like Lala, Ethiopia, me, Prez, and now obviously Big Ronnie DeVoe. And at this time, Ronnie was dating the girl from what was that group called? The 80 not 808.
Oh, what is their name?
Forget
Black?
the name of the group. They were like
Black.
Yes, they were like
Yeah.
TLC. Yes. Yeah, and then he ended up marrying her, and they have two beautiful kids now, two twins.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Ethiopia was the homie. Super busy now. Obviously, she can't. It's hard to get a hold of Ethiopia. If you listen to this podcast, give your homie a call. You got my info. It's never changed. But no, so yeah, so I ended up doing a deal with Jamie Foxx back then. I want to say this. It's unfortunate. I'm sorry I didn't use timelines. I'll clean this up.
Oh, that's okay.
President I signed a deal with Babyface in 1998. Okay. Fast forward, Kenny Edmonds' company ended up folding, and then President I turned on and did a joint venture with Michael McCorn and, oh my God, and Notting Hill Music Publishing. Oh. After that folded, I ended up signing a deal with Jamie Foxx, and that was over at Universal. First at Bug Music, and then we moved to Universal Music Group. And that's when I started. Now it's like 2009. I met Jamie originally, I think it was 2002. And now, so we've moved it, now it's 2009.
Okay.
And so that's when, that's Fox's world. Like, obviously we started working on his album that he was writing at the time. And it was the Unpredictable album.
Okay.
And Nate and I produced and wrote on 2 of those songs with Jay. And this, oh my God, I've got such a bad memory. The song that we did was a song with Common called You Still Got It.
Okay.
And I actually I sang on that album. I sang on the bridge, and then Common's verse comes in. And it was about your girlfriend. Like, you love her, she's still pretty, but even when she's pregnant, she still got it. That's what we kept saying in the song, You Still Got It. Right? No matter how you look or where you are in your life, in my mind, in our mind, you still got it. So, and the cool thing about that record is that song never was a single, but Jamie performed it and debuted the song on Oprah Winfrey.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, I will never forget this, because Fox, one day I walked in the studio, he's like, you get the royalty checks, huh? I'm like, what are you talking about? And I had no idea still that, when your song is getting performed on Oprah Winfrey, the money is really, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, the royalty on that, it was ridiculous. So, that was the first, and then we did another record on that album with Snoop Dogg and Game. I can't remember the name of that one either. Anyway, so yeah, we did another record with Snoop Dogg and Game. And then, it just, there's a lot of music in between I'm not even going to touch, because I'm just, it's not even coming to me. But yeah, did a lot of stuff. But when I started moving into, like, okay, it's not just about making beats.
Right.
You gotta iterate in your career. That's, I started doing that with Jamie and working on a lot of projects with him. Now, the very difficult thing is when you work with Jamie, in my mind and in my eyes, I'll justify this in a second. Jamie is a superstar. I know a lot of people that are stars in this industry, but Jamie is a superstar. And what I mean by that is he's triple threat. He is a Oscar-winning actor. He is a Emmy-winning actor. He's had TV series.
Yes.
Phenomenal TV series. He is a platinum and a Grammy-winning artist. He's a stand-up comedian, and when he does his circuits, they're sold out every single night. So, and he's a super performer. So when I say superstar, he's recognized. He's just so recognized. It's so working with that said, working with Jamie, I don't always get to work on the projects that he works on. The projects that I work on with him is generally when it's our company producing it or Jamie's directing it, and I'm part of the production company. So he brings me in to do music, and the production company is big. There's a lot of us. Tyron Turner, phenomenal screenplay writer. People don't know that Tyron Turner and Johnny Mac wrote the majority of Jamie's stand-up when he did the big stand-up, the stuff that was on HBO. And, so he has a team of writers, Speedy, Johnny Mac, Tyron Turner, Dave Brown. There's a whole bunch of people in there that work with him. So when he puts the production team together, then I come aboard and I fill the gap when it comes to music. I've also done music supervision. Not a huge fan of it, but if, I'll take one for the team, whatever needs to be done gets done. So the first thing I worked on, what the heck did I work on we I don't know if you know this gentleman by the name of Robert Smith. You know Robert Smith is?
That doesn't sound familiar.
I want to say Robert Smith is the third richest black person on the planet. I want to say that.
Oh, him. Oh, okay. The one that gave the money to the Morehouse students.
To the school, yes.
Okay.
Robert, he's worth on or about $8 billion. Okay. So Robert Smith was introduced to us by Deon Taylor. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we work with Deon Taylor as well. Deon's the homie. Yeah. So phenomenal director. Deon's another person that everybody's got to start looking out for. His movie debuts tomorrow, actually. Fatal.
Yeah, I love him. I always see him on Instagram and stuff, and he's been in talks with Tracy too for a couple of projects in the past. But yeah, he's amazing.
He's going to be big. Yeah, he's going to be big. Mm-hmm. So Jamie had this, Jamie's got tons of ideas, by the way, really, really talented guy. Jamie had this idea called Tommy's Little Girl. Mm-hmm. Okay. Jamie knew this gentleman in Miami. His name, I want to say they called him Tommy Guns. I want to say they called him that. He obviously, he used to be part of the Italian mafia or whatever, and lay low, he's in Miami. So Jamie was talking to Tommy one day, and Tommy was talking about his daughter, and he says the story was going on, and he's like, "Oh, this is Tommy's Little Girl. What do you mean?" And Jamie's like, "That's a movie." Mm-hmm. So years later, he came up with the script called Tommy's Little Girl, mm-hmm. and it was about a younger girl whose father was in the mafia, and she got killed in front of her eyes. They hid her, and they put her out of they hid her so the people wouldn't go after her. Mm-hmm. And as she started growing up, they came back and got her and taught her everything that she should know about the family because they wanted her to carry on the family name. Mm-hmm. So we put together this TV series and pilot, and Robert Smith paid for the whole thing, and it was directed by Deon Taylor and Jamie Foxx, music by Brainz.
That's amazing.
See, so that's how it's now all working, right? Mm-hmm. So Robert's an awesome guy. Like I said, he put up the money, and we ended up shooting it. NBC picked up the show. The first time we pitched it, it was amazing. We went to Universal Studios. Jamie is the pitch king. He could sell snow to a snowman. And they bought it. The problem was, because it wasn't in rotation, I believe the senior vice president had retired during this time. And anything that wasn't in rotation doesn't go. It goes with him. It doesn't go.
Yeah, that happens.
Right. So we never ended up getting that. And, we kind of left it alone. So that was the first time working with Robert Smith and Deon Taylor. Prior to that, I did work with Deon on a comedy thing that he was doing with, I think it was Tracy and Mike. It was years prior to that. Mm-hmm. But that was the first time I ended up really working with him. And, I put the music together on that project for Fox. And then we've done a bunch of stuff. I did some commercials with even with Kenny. I did an alcohol commercial for Bombay Sapphire.
Okay.
And with Fox, I did like the Verizon commercials with him, some of the Apple commercials, and the music. I'm doing the music for that. Mm-hmm. And then we get to the Amazing Spider-Man. And this is the funny thing. Jamie used to have King Management, and so I was working on that project and dealing with Jamie King at the time. And I ended up creating the voice for Electro, the character that Jamie was playing at the time.
Okay.
And they had to debut the Spider-Man versus Electro at the Comic-Con that festival. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I did all the music for them to come out to.
Okay.
And then Jamie and I wrote a song called Chasing Spiders. Mm-hmm. And it was a huge scored animated piece of music, and that's what they came out to. And then later what had happened is now I'm put in a position where I have to work with Hans Zimmer. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you know who Hans Zimmer is, but he's obviously one of the best composers of all time. He's done it. He's behind it. So now I find myself
the composing king.
Oh, absolutely. Phenomenal guy. So now I find myself on email and phone with Hans Zimmer, and we're going back and forth. And now I got to track the music out because his guys are going to come and we play the stuff live in Times Square because it was a big thing. And, that didn't end up happening. Something went wrong like it usually does. But it was a lot of experience. It was a big record. But that song was used for the advertisements of those guys coming out, and we did do some trailers as well. So I've done some trailers as well with Jay. So yeah, that cool. That went off. Worked on a movie called Hardball back with Mike McCorn with Keanu Reeves.
I remember that movie.
Pootie Tang, Beer Fest, and then I did a song with Jamie in a movie called Django.
Yes,
and in Django, this is interesting. So Fox had an idea. So Fox throws his like. See, Jamie's not going to sit down and make beats and blah because he doesn't have time, and he's just not going to get into that. I don't think he has the patience for that, to be honest with you. But so he had an idea of doing a song called 100 Black Coffins. And I said, okay, so let's work on this shit. So gave me the idea. I started putting the track together, started producing the beat together. Jamie heard it. He came in, started laying a vocal idea to it. Then I started, building like a symphonic type of score piece at the beginning and blah, blah, blah. So finished the track, and Jamie's like, yo, we got to get Rick Ross on this. I'm like, that'd be dope. Let's get Rick. And this is when Rick was hot, right? He was the guy at the time. So how did this work? This is a difficult one. So Jamie calls up Rick to come on the record, calls Rick to the house. So I got the engineer over there. Jamie's got an awesome studio at his house, by the way. It's my studio, it's his studio. My stuff is up there. So calls Rick over. Rick flies from Las Vegas to Los Angeles to cut this record because he's got to go. He's got to go to Miami in the morning, and then he's going on tour in Europe. So we didn't have that much time. And when the movie's coming to an end, the movie's done because Jamie had already done. The movie's wrapped. So now we're putting the soundtrack together and blah, blah, blah. So I'm trying to remember how exactly. Okay, so we demo up the record. We have to, before we get to Rick, demo up the record with putting Fox on the hook, just imitating Rick because he can imitate anybody. Got to the car, drove over to Quentin Tarantino's house, and now have to convince Quentin Tarantino that this record should go in the movie. So Quentin hears the record. Quentin comes out of the house. Hey guys, you guys want some martinis? And we're like, no, we're good, brother. Comes in, he's well, I'm drinking a martini. So sits in the back of the Jamie's truck, and we're sitting in there, and he's listening to the song, and he's like, oh, this would be perfect for Dr. Dre. And I'm like, with all due respect, he's not the hot guy right now. Dre's amazing icon, but not right now. Rick Ross has to go on this record. And he's like, okay, whatever. I trust you guys. Whatever you want. If that's the hot guy, then that's the hot guy. Let's go with the hot guy. So yeah, we said, yeah, my boy Tate was the one that hooked us up with. For some reason, I don't know why Rick wasn't answering Jamie's phone calls, but my boy Tate knows Spiff, and Spiff is great friends with that's one of Rick's best friends. So it was a roundabout way that we had to get him to listen to it. Drove to the hotel in Hollywood, played the record. He said he was down. Okay, fast forward. Now he's coming back from Las Vegas, flies to Fox's house. Within a matter of minutes, Fox is like throwing a little party because Rick's coming over, got the champagne. Next thing you know, Puffy pulls up. And when Puffy pulls up, he pulls up with like several cars and several trucks, and he's pulling up with Ciroc for the party. Yeah, so now Puffy, I kid you not, I'm blinking, and then all of a sudden, there's got to be at least 300 people there.
Yikes!
Yeah, and then 2 Chainz rolls up, and this is the time. This is the myth. I'm telling you, this is when all those guys were like, "That's all you 2 Chainz." That's what that 2 Chainz. So then all of a sudden the place is packed, and Puff's on Ciroc, and Rick Ross is doing his thing, 2 Chainz, and it's a packed. Even now we're up to about 500 people. The party's packed. Got DJs up there. Didn't get to record shit. And then I thought, oh man, fuck, did I miss out on a Rick Ross record? So long story short, the next day I'm like, Jay, we didn't record, man. He's like, I know. So what I did is I got in contact with Rick's engineer. Sent the record to him. Luckily, he cut it in the studio, sent me back his vocals. I put it to the song. I got Jason Joshua to mix it. Jason Joshua, one of the best hip-hop mixers out there, period. In fact, at the time, he had the room beside Manny in North Larrabee. That's how it was. The hot, those were the guys. So mixed that record, got it out to Quentin, made it in the movie. And, you struggle to see that. And then I realized, oh my God, I didn't get credit.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's not good.
It's not good at all. And that Brainz wasn't happy with that.
Oh, wow.
And so, I had to talk to Fox's management, and we went back and forth, and my attorney, and you got to take care of my client, blah, blah, blah. So, it's not that easy anymore.
Right.
Stuff gets right. So long story short, they had to wait for other stuff to get printed before they add me and online and stuff. So now my name is added to the Wikipedias and blah, 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 and anything else that was printed after that. I made it into the movie. It was interesting to see, the juxtaposition between a Rick Ross record and a bunch of slaves chained up coming out talking about black coppers.
Yeah, that was the good part about the movie. I loved how you did see current songs like that compared to slavery times, and it kind of made that connection, bringing it out of slavery and kind of like saying that this stuff is still going on now. Because some people don't like when they put new songs in period pieces. But I think when you're dealing with something like this, it brings the slavery element to current times and reflect
to another level.
Yeah, and how we're still going through that stuff.
Exactly.
So,
and if there's any director that can pull it off, there's really only one director that pulls something off like that, and it's Quentin. We know that he's the guy that would do stuff like that because he's not afraid to take a risk for good or for worse with his material, and you'll remember it. So that's how the whole Rick Ross Django thing went down.
Yeah, I love that movie. I watch that movie all the time.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, well, how do you approach music scoring as opposed to producing an actual song for a soundtrack?
Right. So two different beasts. So composing for the film is you got to get into a different mindset. It's bringing out the scene. You don't necessarily want to be heard while watching it. You don't want people to focus on the music. You want them to focus so much on the film that you totally forgot the music was there because you got so engulfed and every piece played a position, the music, the score. So, you're writing themes, you're writing pieces that work. So where's the piano? So you get a scene, the director will give you a scene and they'll ask you, they'll give you directions. If they don't, you're on your own, and then they'll give you a bunch of notes on how wrong you were at what you did because you're getting no direction, right? You're just going with what you feel. So you see the scene and you're kind of getting the vibe of how the movie is going. See, I'm fortunate enough that I am on set for a large part of whatever we're shooting. I get the luxury to do that. And now composers are doing it all the time now as well. It just, you understand where the director is going with this. You understand what the production is happening. And so I get to see what's going on. I get an idea. I go home and I'll write a piece of music or something. And then, in Jay's case, I'll send it to him. What do you think? We did another movie called All-Star Weekend that it hasn't come out yet. I don't know what they're doing with it. But I did a record with French Montana, and that's the title song. And as soon as Jamie heard the track, he was like, yo, that shit's the shit. That's it. So got French Montana in the studio again through Spiff. He hooked that up, put French in there, cut the record. You got that piece. Now, when it comes to the mood of it, like I just did a movie called Torn, and it's an independent film. It was an interesting project because all of us went to school together. The director, the actors, me, the producers, we went to either junior high or school or related through family. And so it was a pet project that we put out there, and we ended up winning so many awards. I think we're up to like 15 awards now for independent film. It was just us getting together. Yeah, I can't believe that, right? So
I saw the trailer. The trailer was amazing. I was like, I want to see that. That's my type of movie.
It's about bad cop, and the bad choices they make, and the outcome of it isn't good. Right. So, doing that movie was interesting because it was the whole movie, it's called Torn, Dark Bullets. And the whole movie's dark. So if you listen to it, by the way, my album comes out shortly. I'll get to that in a second for the soundtrack for that movie. But when you listen to it, you'll understand that it was really moved. There was a lot of, it's really epic. There are big epic pieces with big orchestration, and then there's smaller piano pieces. So yeah, when you're writing to something, it's just mood. You're trying to create a mood. You know, you're trying not to do too much. You're not trying not to do too little. Sometimes it just needs a track or a song, but then sometimes you don't need vocals and you want a musical piece. So, you know, there's songs, and then there's musical pieces or compositions that we use in television or film. So yeah, me personally, I sit down behind a piano, and that's where I start coming up with what is it that I'm trying to portray here.
Okay. So is it sometimes, do you get sometimes just a script and start with
I always get the script, but I never start with the script.
Okay.
Yeah, I never start with the script because I don't like. I guess I can start with the script, but it's not like it's not the same than when you're listening, when you're actually seeing like what was the piece for that? This is a while back too. I think the theme went like that.
Okay, that sounds nice.
So yeah, it starts off with something like,
I was gonna say, don't get me sued.
No, this is my original music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it starts off with something as simple as that. Where is it here? I'll play it. And this is for All-Star Weekend. Where are you? All-Star Placement.
What?
Yeah. Go ahead. You were saying?
I was gonna say, do you play any other instruments?
I play guitar very poorly. If I do need guitar, I go to Eric Jackson.
Oh, okay.
Phenomenal guitar player. You should interview him next. He's done a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, great guy. Let me see so you can hear.
Did he work with Damon and what was the other?
Damon and Harvey.
Yeah, did he work with them?
He worked with them a lot. He worked with Kenny a lot. He actually taught Tom Cruise how to play guitar for Rock of Ages.
Okay. I think I may have seen him before.
You've seen him several times. When you see him, you'll remember.
Oh, okay.
Like, oh yeah. So yeah. So anyways, that's how it works. You take the piano and you start putting pieces until you get something that makes sense.
Oh wow.
Behind it. Yeah.
I always wondered how that process was.
Let me see. Okay, so for instance, there's a piece in this television show that I'm working on right now where the couple is out for dinner. Okay. So I came up with lounge music like this. Oh. Just this little bit of jazzy piece. So that's nice. So you work on stuff like that, and it's in the background music. So they're just talking right now over the music. Okay. And so you don't want to distract your audience. You want to just fill in the background. So, and then you got to do stuff like this. This is the same kind of stuff where you're doing. Same kind of stuff. Now we're doing hip hop, right? So that's how I work. I've done everything from mariachi to that. And I'll play you this one thing too. This is funny. There's a part in the show, in this TV show, where Jamie he's talking to his daughter, and his daughter loves that song, Magenta. I don't know if familiar with Magenta. It's a hip hop record. Anyway, so it's a hip hop record done by a Latin artist. Okay. And I ended up doing the mariachi version of that. Okay. If that makes sense. So yeah, so I end up doing it's this now. Oh wow. Oh yeah. Right. So I just played everything. I played everything, and I got Eric on the guitar. And I just recreate it because it's a comedy piece. Now there's a big mariachi band behind him, mimicking what I'm doing. You'll laugh at it when you see it. So it's for a television show called Dad Stop Embarrassing Me. I'm in post-production on that right now.
Oh,
but yeah, so music takes us all over the place. Like even doing stuff with ESPN. I did a couple things with Katie Holmes on that. She directed a show about women of New York, which it was a short, and I thought it was really good. It was on AOL, and it's really done good. Did stuff with them, did Underarm commercial with Steph Curry, did Mercedes-Benz commercial with Tyler Chen. Like I said, the All-Star Weekend, which is a huge cast. It's Jamie Foxx, Jeremy Pippen, Robert Downey Jr., Eva Longoria, Gerard Butler, Benicio Del Toro. The music is chocked with like tons of people. The talent level in that movie is very high. So hopefully it comes out. COVID didn't really help with everything.
Right, exactly.
Stalled a lot of stuff. You know, the TV show I'm working on Netflix right now is called Dad Stop Embarrassing Me. And we were supposed to wrap in May. It's now December and we're in post now. We wrapped shooting about 2 weeks ago, and now cool. I'm in post, and we mixed the first episode yesterday, and we'll mix four more before everyone hangs it up. The only people left working right now is myself, my music editor, the film editor, and a couple of the producers. And everybody else is now on vacation.
Oh wow! Yeah, one of my writing group members recently sent us that script, and then I remember reading from your bio. I was like, oh, and I told her, I said, I know the music composer for this, and I let her know that I was interviewing you. So she sent the script to read. I was like, small world, you know, that it's about Jamie and his daughter. Because it's funny, when Corinne was younger, Corinne's his daughter, she used to always say that, Dad, you're embarrassing me. And it's funny because, you know, Fox is a funny guy. I've known him for 18 years. He's just always been that way, and he's always embarrassed her. So they turned it into a television show, and, you know, Netflix picked it up, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
There's some funny pieces in it. It's a black comedy. It's multicam. It's supposed to be a studio audience. You know, after shooting the first day, we lost the studio audience because of COVID. So it really kind of changed the whole energy and the whole dynamic of that show. So, you know, for actors like Jamie, when he has that studio audience, you know, it brings a different energy.
Yeah,
right?
It's important.
So it was unfortunate that didn't happen. So we'll see what happens. The release date is next year.
Okay.
And outside of that, I'm working on a animated feature film called Groove Tales, and that's with Jamie Foxx, Channing Tatum. They're really trying hard to get Ariana Grande on this one. I'm not sure they're gonna be able to do it, but that's on the producer. So this is a movie about these rats that dance. Again, we're back to the Save the Last Dance flash dance thing, and they're in the streets of New York, and they're battling, and they have to deal with the elements. They have to deal with the stray cats and the dogs, and you know, we have a character in there called Little Uber. He's just like a little puppy, the little dog, and he likes the mice, and they jump on his back, and he takes them around. He's an Uber driver. So it's a kids and adult comedy because there's some adult stuff in there, and the music that I'm doing on there, like I'll be working with other artists because obviously it's a bunch of dance stuff, but we do some throwback stuff, like nothing's been said yet, but for instance, we'd use something like Tears for Fears, like shout let it all out, these other things, because it's funny when it plays against the animation, right? We've had a lot of problems with this animation though, because our animators were in Pakistan and in Brazil. And what are the two countries that are hit hardest outside of America? It's India, then Brazil. So I know, it was very tough for our producers to, even contact them. These are the third world countries in their own right. It's not like you're going to call these guys on their cell phones and at their homes with their family. Their way of contacting our producers was through the office, where everything is paid for and taken care of. So it's been difficult. So again, COVID pushed us back to 2022. So we've got time to work on this, and we'll see how it works. But so I'll back up a little too. Throughout all of this, I ended up signing a deal with BMG, did a publishing deal over there.
Oh, okay.
So brought BMG onto this project, and BMG is going to administrate this project, and we'll probably end up doing a soundtrack through BMG on this movie as well.
Oh wow, well, that's exciting. Like you have a vast amount of projects going on, and what would you say is your favorite, like your favorite area to work in?
You know, so the cool thing about television is that there's deadlines, and they're hard deadlines, as you know. Friday hits, done. Netflix, you got more flexibility though than regular television.
Okay.
But you know, and it's a lot different than regular television. The contracts are different. The workflow is different. The can and can't do's are really different. I had to take COVID university in order to work there. It's really interesting. You do it, and then you get your certificate. Then you can be on there.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I did this big gospel record with one of the actresses. It's in the show, but it was fun. It was fun doing the project. But yeah, COVID really put a damper on that. But between the two, theater's more like, this is another thing. I don't want to get off topic here. I know I'm talking long, but the movie industry, I don't know if you heard what Warner Brothers just did.
Yes.
But yeah, so now they're doing the simultaneous release on stuff that is meant for the theater. So, you know, our producers are optimistic. They're thinking that by 2022, we'll be fully back in the theaters, and we can put this movie where it's supposed to belong, which is in the theaters. However, I'm not pessimistic. I'm optimistic, but I'm also realize that as times go, like COVID has forced us into the future. Like for those that wouldn't order anything online before, now are ordering online. Right?
Exactly.
For those, everything's fast forward. So now everything, you know, we're going to get used really quick to just watching stuff on TV. That's what's happening. Again, we were kind of before, but now we're forced to now. So it's now become a habitual way of consuming content. So, you know, although 22 might come around and we might go direct to theaters, I have a feeling that wherever we go, it might also be a simultaneous 2 theaters, 2 streaming at the same time. So, you know, I love doing, you know, when I worked on, that's just another project that I forgot to tell you. I did a short film with Jamie Foxx and Ron Howard for Canon.
Oh, okay.
We did this thing. Yeah. And so that's the first time I got to mix a body of work for a short film at the Sony Pictures. And I say that to say this. It is, first of all, the Sony studios are amazing. The board is it's humongous. So you're mixing it for the theater, because you're mixing in a theater, right? So you're adding your sound effects. You're making the shitty music that I did sound amazing, and it's theatrical and it's epic. And so we're making this content to be absorbed by consumers in a theater, right? So when we don't get to do that, and people are just watching it on a cell phone or an iPad or in their home system, it kind of drowns out, dampens down the effect of the film. It's supposed to be big, right? And I have a problem with that, and it's kind of bad because the music I'm doing, it's like big music. But it is what it is.
Yeah, it's important to get that theater experience. It just you know, it just brings you into it, like it connects, and it's just something about being in that dark room and you're only focused. You have no distractions, and you're only looking at that big screen, and so it's a completely different experience.
And there's a lot that goes into that. Like even this opening beginning that I'm working on, it's like this. So here, I'll play it for you a bit. Just. So
that's nice.
It's a cartoon. It's an animation. And they're walking down the street and they're singing and blah blah blah. So when you put this up against the picture and the way it's being mixed, and it's like it's that theatrical moment. You know, how would it be to watch, you know, Avatar on iPad. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't have any power over that. It takes it away.
Yeah.
So now I'll back up to your question. I do like doing film as much because you get to you get to play with these big sounds, and you get to play with the big symphonic adventure, and I like doing that. But it is, I would say, one of the toughest jobs I've ever done is TV. I mean, is film music. It's very tough dealing with the director. It's very stressful. I mean, like after doing a film, you need to take a break. I don't care who you are. Don't care who. It's very stressful because at the end of the day, the film, oh, now you're going to make it great. Really? You guys didn't like what you wrote or acted? Like, so the pressure has now been put all on you to, in their mind, save the film. I don't know why they feel that way, but so, but you got to do what the director wants. It's his movie. You kind of, as a composer, you got to remove yourself from that process and give the director whatever you can suggest, because that, they want your suggestions. But at the end of the day, it's their show, and you just want to finish their sentences and get it going. So both television and film are great. They have two different purposes, two different beasts. But like I said, one has hard deadlines, and one there's a little bit more time, but it's a lot more work.
Yeah. That's amazing. I can imagine composing for, the director is a lot like writing, a writer in a writer's room, and they have to bring the showrunner's vision to life. And I guess it would be completely different when you're creating your own music production. You get to do what you want to do because it's your stuff. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's where I'm headed towards is more television and film. And I still do music, and I still write songs. Like, that's part of it. I'm doing a lot of work with Coca-Cola right now, and they're asking for songs. So, I'm working with both worlds. So, I'm also like, I've very much stayed in an entrepreneurial role though. Like it's not all I do. Like a couple of buddies of mine ended up buying a huge publishing catalog. And, within that catalog, we got a large portion of the 24K Bruno Mars album. We got a lot of Chris Brown. We got a lot. It's just it's chocked full of a lot of stuff, Tyrese's stuff. So, and it pays.
Yes.
It's an investment, right?
Yes.
So I encourage other producers. I'm going to start up a YouTube pretty soon called Brainz Music. And it's gonna be based around making money in the industry, but it's not what you think. It's not just off of music. You have to have other businesses outside.
Exactly.
And so to help move the needle in your life. Otherwise, as you know, you eat what you kill in this industry. You don't kill anything, you don't eat anything. Sometimes the rent can be unpaid, and you're trying to figure some stuff out. So I figured I didn't want to do that anymore, and that's when I started branching off and getting more into like stocks and doing infinite banking, creating my own personal bank, and getting into purchasing music publishing. Yeah. So as a music producer, songwriter, you gotta burn the candle on both ends, have multiple streams of income that aren't attached to each other. You don't want to have all your investment into one stock, i.e. music, and the music starts to dip. That means all your money's going to dip. So you want to diversify your life if possible.
Absolutely.
But that's where I am at this point of my career.
Well, you've done some amazing stuff. I didn't even know you did all of this. Like when I looked at your bio, I was like, dang, I didn't know Brainz did all this.
On the down low. Yeah.
So that's
it's funny
cool.
because even on Jamie's second album, I can't even remember the name of his second album, I did a record with Pitbull on that album. Yeah, and it was a remix that came out. I don't know what happens to half of this stuff, but Mr. Worldwide blessed that record. Did some stuff on a movie called Beer Fest. That was kind of fun. But you got to just keep working. I'm sure there's a lot of other stuff I'm missing. I actually composed the 2018 BET Awards. That was me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And when you just got to work. It's just a lot of work.
Absolutely.
When I tell you it doesn't leave a lot of room for personal life, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's
but you gotta find someone that really understands that, because not even when a person says they understand that, they don't really.
Exactly. Yeah. So what kind of advice would you give aspiring music producers? You know, like everybody, you know, they trying to make beats and all that, you know. So what would you say to them to get started or get their foot in the door? What would be your advice on that?
You know, we're in a day where there's so much, everything's digital.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when you look at it, you really don't need a record deal as much as you used to. When I first started off, you can do it all your own. You can market yourself. You don't need to get billboards. Do you know how much billboards used to cost to put an artist? That was expensive. You don't need to do that now. You use Facebook marketing, Instagram, Twitter, like, you know, TikTok, like that. That'll boost you in a second, right? So my advice is work smart, not hard. Everything you need to know is online. Like anything you need to know is on YouTube. If you want to put a record out there, study how other people have done it. The information's out there. But my biggest advice would be to make sure that you have another form of income and that the music is just a side thing until it no longer is a side thing. Right? It'll start off as a side hustle. And then when you're making music, say I worked at, I don't know, Ralph's, but I was a beat maker. Work at Ralph's until you sell 2 or 3 beats where now you're making more on beats than you are at Ralph's, then quit Ralph's. You understand? Because at the end of the day, what happens is we get caught up with making music and we catch this bug and it's, oh, my next album, this next record, this is going to be the hot one. Doesn't happen. Okay, the next one doesn't happen. And then you just like, you get stuck in this never-ending cycle. You're not placing records. You're not making money from it. And it becomes a downward spiral. So my suggestion is get a solid side gig, even if it's just Turo or if it's Lyft or Uber or whatever it is. The gig economy is awesome. It gives you so much free time to make beats, to be an artist, to do any kind of entrepreneurial thing you want because you control your hours and you can control the amount of money you make. If you're doing Uber, you can say, I'm gonna only drive for 4 days. That's enough to make rent and some food or whatever the deal is. For a week or whatever, but then you got all the spare time to work on your craft. And like I said, work smart, not hard. You have to do a lot. It's a lot of people, there is no overnight success. A lot of these, even these young kids, when you see them, you're like, what a lot of people don't realize, they've been doing a lot of this for months, if not a year and some change, a lot of it before they finally got noticed. So work smart, not hard. Keep putting content out there too.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody tell you that it's not good. Let the public decide. The public will decide whether they like what you're doing or not. That goes for anything. That's if you're creating an app, if you're creating any kind of invention, let the public decide. We're the ones consuming it.
Exactly.
Put content out there. You know, if you want to be heard, sign up to DistroKid, get out to the top 100 streaming platforms that are coming out there and put your music on there. Make money from that.
Yeah. And what would you say if they're like starting at square one? They don't have any equipment. They don't, know what to do. Like, what would you say?
First of all, if you want to we're in a perfect time where everything can be cheap. It's inexpensive. I work completely on Mac. The music industry, editing, Photoshop, all that stuff is based around the whole Apple environment. However, you can do the same thing on PC. It's considerably inexpensive. If you don't have the money, you can buy a decent PC laptop for $500, maybe even less on Craigslist. You can get a Mac on Craigslist. Start on Craigslist or eBay, something cheap, right? I use Logic. You can use any DAW you want. You can use anything. The reason why I use Logic is because it comes with a lot of good sounds. And if you're a first-time producer, it comes with a lot of goodies for you to make music with. That's why I choose Logic. But you can use anything. It's all in your mind, right? So you can use anything. So first things first, get a laptop. Don't get a brand new, too expensive. Go on eBay, go on Craigslist. Then get yourself a little keyboard. You need to play. You need to play something on there. You can go to Guitar Center. You can order on Amazon. Amazon's got some cheap stuff. You can get a small one for maybe, I don't know, $30. Plugs right into your laptop. Get some headphones, maybe a little pair of speakers, and you're off to the races. Then just start making music. Listen to a lot of music. Copy music. That's because then when you can start copying music and replaying out another song, what you're doing is you're understanding the timing of music, like 8 bars, 16 bars, 4 bars. And that's what happens when you start like remaking songs, right? Get familiar with the music, listen to a lot of it, and eventually you're going to get to a point where you're creating songs and you're putting it in the right time format, and you're paying attention to syncopation. So yeah, I would start off with a inexpensive laptop, a keyboard. It comes with sounds, it comes with drum sounds, and just start working. It's like a video game. Just start playing. Oh, wow. Start playing till you get to where you should be, what level you should be at. And don't be afraid to go online. Everything you want to learn is online. Like I use Manny Marroquin. I learned a lot of mixing from just sitting in the room with Manny. Obviously, everyone can't sit in the room with Manny, but what you can do is go on YouTube. He's got his own channel. You can learn how do you make the kick sound like this. You can learn. I went to school, so you can, if you don't go to school, you can study how do you mix the song so that I can play it to someone and they get what I'm thinking, right? All that stuff's online. YouTube is a music producer's best friend.
Yeah. YouTube University.
That's it. If you're a screenplay writer, yo, if you've never done it before, YouTube. Okay. I also took the master classes from Masterclass. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
If you know, I've watched several people on that program, and I think it helps. Education's king when it comes to this. Obviously, talent is talent. You got to go with whatever you feel, but part of that is education.
Exactly.
Knowing what a C is. It helps. It helps to get where you want to go. And listen to a lot of music.
Yeah, that's key. You got to study the craft.
Study the craft and respect it. Like all these kids, a couple years back, I remember they were like, Tupac ain't shit. Ain't nobody. You can't say stuff like that because if you love, like growing up, I wasn't alive when Stevie Wonder was first alive. You know, when Bob Marley was alive, I was young. I was a baby. So my thing is, I never once looked back and said, those guys ain't shit. In fact, I'm heavily influenced by those people. So these younger cats, they can't look back and say, those guys ain't shit. They may not listen to it, but they got to listen to understand, oh, that's how hip hop happened. Oh, that's why they did this. Okay, now I understand why there's a following. I understand. Just like how we respect our parents' music.
Exactly.
And we play it. It's not funny. We play our parents' music to this day. It's like, you have to respect me. Once you start respecting music, you find a love for it. Like I love, one of my favorite groups in the world is the Eagles.
Okay.
And I just have a respect for their structure, for what they're saying. And even more the time, those times. When Marvin Gaye was around, the reason why he was what he was is because look at the political environment. When Bob Marley was around, look at the political environment. It was repression. You understand? So music has this thing. It's a staple in time. And sometimes you can't remake those songs. That song, War, what is it good for? Like, you can't redo that. They did that at that time because of war. That emotion, you can't duplicate that. That's why when anybody tries to remake that song, it doesn't sound the same. It just don't work. They try and overdo it, overproduce it. It's too perfect, right? Yeah. So yeah, forget all that. Listen to a lot of music, respect a lot of music, and you become, it just makes you a better person too, I think.
I think so too. So what is next for Brainz?
Oh, I always say, what is that going to be? You know, for me, it's other businesses. I want to tap into other businesses outside of just creativity. That's like a big thing to me. I've really focused lately, as of late, I've really focused on infinite banking, and I'll let your viewers just type that in on YouTube or Google. Google infinite banking. I've started that, which is pretty much my own bank, and it allows me to do whatever I want with the money that I have, and it gets leveraged to your whole life insurance policy. It's an amazing thing, and you're getting, compound interest on your money until you die. And by the way, it's life insurance on top of that. So it's an amazing thing. So, once you start putting these pieces together, you start understanding, wait, that's how these people do. I didn't know that McDonald's has this much money in whole life. I didn't know that Joe Biden has 100 million in whole life, because that's how they leverage their money. That's how they take money out and borrow it against that policy. So there's things like that that I'm looking into. in terms of creativity, I think the Groove Tales animated feature film is going to take up a lot of my time for the next year, which I can't wait. I've been working on it now, but I can't wait till we wrap the Netflix thing so I can now pay 100% attention to that and start working with some other artists. And, outside of that, I don't know, creativity, that's a good thing. What am I doing next? I got to find another job after this job's done. I don't know. I'm sure Jamie has something up his sleeve where he's going to be like, come over to the trip. I want to show you something. And then, next thing you know, he's got this idea and we're working on stuff.
Right.
So that's how it usually is. I'm sure at one time I want to getting into producing films because I think I've done so much of it. It's almost like I'm producing a film. It's like I've got a huge contact list. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people in the trade. I know the statutes for licensing music and all that stuff. So to some degree, I feel that I bring a lot to the table for the production of a film. So maybe I'll touch into getting into production at one time, maybe even directing. I'm not sure.
Oh, wow. That'd be exciting.
But yeah, sky's the limit. We live in great times, Roz. You are going to be a director at one time or something. I already know. It's going to be something that, you thought about and then for some reason it just happened. Like we don't know sky's the limit. That's so
I'm
awesome.
working on it. I
know you are. I know you are. I've known you for a long time. I know you've got a creative mind. I know you've stuck in this as long as I have. So that says something for both of us. It's just you got, and you're around good people. Tracy's great,
Yeah.
So, what do you guys have next on your plate? Are you allowed to talk about?
Well, what we're working on right now is the second season of Games People Play. We are about to, if COVID doesn't shut us down again, we're supposed to go into pre-production in February. And then I believe we start shooting in March, if I'm correct.
That's nice.
Yeah. So hopefully that will go through. And then we have a lot of other things on the slate. We have the movie with Queen Latifah that we're going to do. And so hopefully we can start shooting that maybe like in the summer or June or somewhere around there. And then, just like a few other things that are on the slate that, once COVID gets the hell out of here, we can do some things.
I agree. Technically, we are done in February for Netflix. Like on my part in terms of getting that stuff mixed up. And then, I look forward to working on, if it ever gets done, but the Mike Tyson story.
Oh, wow.
Which will be interesting. Hopefully I get to do something on that. There's no promises in this industry. First of all, I don't care who you are. You could be Leonardo DiCaprio. It don't matter. There's no promises. But so there's that on the horizon, and I really want to get my feet wet with doing more animated feature films. It's something that is becoming. It's fun. It's exciting, and it's challenging.
Okay, that sounds exciting. Yeah. Well, all righty then. Well, this has been an amazing conversation. It's like you took me down memory lane. I was thinking about stuff that I had forgot about. I was like, oh yeah. But
it's been a ride for all those that were around the time when Yabby was around, or or Edmonds. They started a lot where you and I started off. A lot of talent spun out of that. John. Came from there. Armando came from there. Giuliano came from the Third Story. John B. There's a lot of us that came out of this camp. You came out of this camp, and now you're producing and doing other things, podcasts. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of, from Kenny and Tracy, a lot of stuff happened from everyone who started there and to where they are now. Yeah. You get to do a lot of stuff. You know.
Yeah. I'm like, should write a story about that building.
About that building, about that floor. Yeah. Because you never know what comes from. Look, me and the homie Perps from 808 Mafia, the producer. We produced a song called "Chanting All Over Your Tatum," and that's the song that features Miley Cyrus, Channing Tatum, Jamie Foxx, Jimmy Kimmel, you never know. You just end up on these places. You just keep going, and then you end up and the funniest thing, that song is so stupid, but we got over 30 million views on YouTube. You don't know where your career is going to take you. I swear to God, you do some crazy stuff, it does really good. You do some stuff you love, it does horrible. But I guess the point being is just, from that building, stick to it. Everyone stuck to their guns. Everything is way different, both industry-wise and personally wise from when we all started there. But I think that it kind of prepared us for what we're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just a pool of talent.
Yeah. Before we get off the phone, though, this is one thing. I don't know if I ever told you this. Maybe I did, but my family was a part of the Obama administration, right?
No.
Yeah. So my aunt and uncle, Thomas and Vanessa Reed, they were in Time magazine as in the top 25 most influential people to the president at the time.
Oh, wow. And
Obama offered Thomas a job the first time he got elected, but Thomas turned it down because they all went to school together. They're like best friends. Because he was part of his own law firm. He was the head of, he's a partner. But then when he got the second nomination, he hired him and he came aboard. I think he was the director of the FCC. So he ended up working with Obama. They met from what the story I heard is, my uncle knew Michelle first, and they were friends first, my auntie Michelle and Tom. And what happened with that was she introduced him and said, I met this guy named Obama. And he's like, Obama? Where is he from? Africa? That kind of thing, joked around. They met each other. My uncle's about 6'5". They both played ball. They both played ball. They both got along. That's how it worked out. All four of them were attorneys. After they graduated, what my uncle and my auntie were telling me is they said, yo, Barack, let's go to Washington and pay back these student loans. And Barack said, you know what? I think I'm going to stay back and make some changes in Chicago. And he did.
Wow.
He changed the way women were being treated. The way Black women were being treated, and he wrote some bills and changed the way law was there. And then he called my auntie Vanessa and my uncle Thomas on him. He said, "I'm going to run for president. You think that's you back me on that?" And they said, "Of course, we'll back you on that." And that's what happened. Then they started the campaign, and my auntie campaigned hard for Biden because Biden knows my auntie as well. They all know each other. That's and the funny thing is, my auntie and uncle are great friends with the owner of Amazon, Jeff Bezos. They're all best friends. Wow. They all went to school together. My uncle, Obama, Brooke Shields, they all know each other.
Oh wow!
From that era, and I don't know why they don't talk about it more. Obviously, everyone's got so much going on,
right.
But that's the backstory. A lot of great friends came out of that era,
that's amazing.
So I'm the only one that never met Barack out of my whole entire family. My grandparents met him, my sister, my mom.
Oh wow! Yeah. I know. Like everybody gets to meet Barack except me.
Except I didn't get to meet him, which is super crazy. But anyways, that's.
I remember when he was running for the Senate. Did you ever meet Tracy Kimball?
Why does that sound familiar?
She used to be the VP of film. She was only there for maybe a couple of years or so.
I would have met her then. I just can't put the face together.
But she's from New York, so she came from New York out here, and she was friends with what's his name? Oh my God, the actor. I'm blanking out on his name.
Denzel?
No. The one that wrote the book, Letters to My Brothers or something like that. What's his name? I can't think of his name. But she was friends with him. And so he was doing some kind of fundraising. And so Tracy Kimball brought her fundraising materials to the office, and then she wanted to get Tracy Edmonds involved, and so they were looking for donations. And I remember looking at the material and seeing his name, and I was like, what kind of name is that? I was like, that is a weird name. And so I never forgot it. And then when he started running for president, I was like, oh yeah, I remember him. That's who it is, Hill Harper. Yeah.
Hill Harper.
Yeah, so he and Hill Harper are good friends. So Tracy Kimball's good friends with Hill Harper. So I was like, oh wow. And I thought back on it, I was like, yeah, I remember him. He had the weird name.
The weird name, exactly. Exactly. But that's the story. It's America is so divided right now. We've never seen this before. And you know what's funny? I find it funny that one of Michelle's best friends is George Bush. I mean, that's
I know, how did that
homie.
turn out?
That's weird, right? That's her homie, and even Brock's like, I don't know how that turned out, but apparently they're best friends now, and they work for the same organization. But it's good to see that, when it's all said and done, both sides do and can get together. And I just unfortunately don't think that's gonna ever happen right now or ever again. Yeah. I think this president is very divisive. I don't like him at all.
Yeah,
but
don't get me started.
The funny thing is, I am not a Democrat and I'm not a Republican. I am right up the middle, and I feel that a lot of Canadians are. That's just how it is. There are things on the Republican side that I like in their bills for business, very business friendly. And there's things on the Democratic side that I really like. It's really for the people, and let the people get a piece of the pie, right? Yeah. I come from a country where we have universal health care. I know what it's like. I don't have to watch CNN or Fox and get a distorted reality. You want to know what universal healthcare is like? Ask me.
Yeah.
Right? It was great.
Yeah.
Loved it. Loved it. There's you can go to any doctor, any hospital, anywhere in Canada. You're not getting turned down. And what's even better, you don't have to, you can leave your credit card at home.
Oh, okay? Wow.
So just bring your health card. But so at the end of the day, I've got Republican friends. I've got I like both sides. It was him that I did not like. His divisiveness was dangerous.
Yeah, it was really like something we haven't seen in modern times. It was just crazy.
Yeah. And we shouldn't teach people divisiveness. That's not the way to get around. I guess we can go on and on forever. The Democrats aren't perfect either.
Right.
Joe Biden got something to prove right now. Otherwise, he can get to step in too. We just want a better place to live in.
Exactly. Yeah, I consider myself. I'm a Democrat. I consider myself a staunch Democrat, but that does not mean I agree with every single thing. From the Democratic Party. But yeah, it's like, we're just ready to get rid of this COVID and people can get back to work. And
I thought you were calling Trump COVID. That's hilarious.
You might as well.
We got to get rid of this COVID.
Same thing. One and the same.
Yeah.
So people can get back to work and, and
get
then
back
hopefully
to where we were.
Yeah, and hopefully, be in a better place of where we've learned from each other and what, people.
You know what I'm posting now? I'm saying, let's get America great again. Let's get America great again.
Right.
That's hilarious. It's ironic. That's the ironic thing. We just want to get America great again.
Right.
Because it's like, it's a catastrophe now. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Right now. I don't care what anybody's listening to on these radio stations. It's horrible right now. But we will.
But we keep hope alive.
Oh man, you better believe, man. Even we as Black people, we're persistent. Persistence overcomes resistance. That's the music industry. That's the television and film industry. That's just what it is. And we'll perceive over all this stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
so there it is.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the podcast, and let me know when you go live, or if you can set the link. I'll definitely let people listen to it. Is good to go back down memory lane. There's tons of stuff that we didn't talk about.
I know it's like it could be like a 10-hour conversation.
Really and truly, and I know we've taken up a lot of your time now, but
that's okay. Oh, and there's one more thing I wanted to mention because I would never forget. It was so funny. You were talking to somebody. This was in the studio in Track and Place, and some guy was talking about he was gonna get hooked up with somebody as far as like business and making some money or whatever. And I remember you said to him, you was like, "Man, just ask the guy if he can have a check for you on Wednesday." And the guy was like, "What?" He was like, you were like, if he can't get a check for you on Wednesday, then he's not the guy you need to be talking to.
Probably not. Yeah, I don't remember saying that, but you're probably right with that, Because
that was so funny.
that's what this industry is. There's people talk, you know, and that's what it is. That's why if I go to somebody that I need work, that I want to work with, that's because we have a budget, and I'm going to tell you the line producer and who to send that invoice to. Otherwise, because I've been there, I don't want to just talk. Oh, I got this thing. Yo, check out look my dog. I know this dude that does this thing. Really? Is there money attached to that thing? Because there's a lot of freebies in this damn business. Right. At some point, you know, there's got to be money involved. We got to pay the bills. So yeah, I don't remember saying that, but it sounds like something I would have said.
It was hilarious.
Absolutely. Keep music alive, keep television alive, keep movies alive. There's a lot of space. Listen, I'm a huge believer in blended culture at work. I'm glad that Biden is putting a lot of women in these positions and a lot of people of ethnicity, because listen, at the end of the day, white males aren't the only people that purchase product. Right. So therefore, if we're making these great American products and these great content, it should be touched by different ethnicities, different sexes. It just should be, right? And that's how you make a better product. That's just how you make it. And so I see a lot of that going now. I see more female filmmakers, and I'm encouraging. By the way, Brainz saying you don't know. I encourage more females to come on and produce music. Yes, we definitely. Like my girlfriend, she's a film composer too, Natasha Kojic. She's really good. I encourage more to come aboard and do that, because at the end of the day, it's perspective, and we need more perspective. That changes movies from being the same. It's a different eye.
Yeah, it's like you get a variety.
It is, and that's what's so great about America is that the opportunity. It's the opportunity. So there it is. Check me out at www.brainzmusic.com. You know, if you want to find me, and on Instagram, it's Brainz Music, brainzmusic.com. Everything's Brainz Music.
As it should be.
Yeah, as it should be. So that's where I am. That's where I can be found.
Yeah, so check them out, everybody.
Thanks for taking the time to tune in to the WordyGirl Entertainment Podcast. Don't forget to check out my blog at www.wordygirlent.com. That's WordyGirlent.com. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter at WordyGirlENT, and on Facebook at www.facebook.com/WordyGirlENT. And always remember, it all begins with a single word. So what are you waiting for? Go write.